Welcome to the Did You Know Quilting Show. I am Christina Whitney, and today's question is, did you know that when you're using Pro Stitcher, you can crop the design at the bottom of an edge to edge? Right now, I am at the very bottom of this edge to edge quilt, and you can see the bottom down here, but I've got too much design on my Pro Stitcher that it's going to be hitting the pole. So I want to crop off any of that extra stuff. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and baste down the bottom of my quilt so that I can get it off of the leader so I don't hit any pins. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Just reiterating, I have already done my drag and drop. Everything is in position, ready to go. But we are going to do some basting. Weird. Sometimes I will just go across and put some pins, like take them out of the leader and then put them into the quilt. Just, every couple of pins or so. And that holds the fabric in place so that I can do the rest of the basting. This is just one way to do it. Some people like to take the pins out as they're stitching. Some people like to actually stitch a basting stitch, then take the pins out and then go back and baste again. So there's many ways. As I always tell people, go ahead and try and see what works for you. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the rest of these pins. This is where I need some music, somebody to sing to me. Just pulling this leader back and I'm stitching along. And I'm trying to stay within about a quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch, somewhere where I will be covering up this stitch when I put my binding on. You'll notice that when I put the pins in, I put them up high enough that I don't have to worry about hitting them with the machine. If, however, they were down too low, I could always just take them out as I'm going along. I'm going to finish stitching up the side as well. Okay, the basting is all done. My quilt top is no longer attached to the leader. I do not risk running over the leader. I do, however, need to make sure I take the rest of these pins out because hitting a pin is not recommended. Okay, I'm going to try to do this without making you guys sick, but I'm going to have to go back and forth between the screen and the quilt top. So this is what I've got right now. I finished my second to last row. What I'm going to do is hit my cancel button. Okay, now that pink area box, it does not need to be on there anymore, and I've actually got to get rid of it. So I'm going to go up to the top here. And I'm actually going to turn off my basting stitch there, but I'm going to go to area and I'm going to come over to my right hand sidebar. If you're on an older version, it will be up here. So look for either place, but I'm going to hit clear. And again, I apologize if this is wobbly. Now what I want to do is get rid of anything that is below. Let's see, I'm going to move my machine. So there's the bottom of my quilt top right there. So I don't want to do any stitching below here. So if I look up on the screen, that orange horizontal line represents the bottom of my quilt top. So I need to get rid of all of the design that is below there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take my machine and we're going to scoot on over here. We're going to take it to the bottom of the quilt top, but as far over, like off the side as we can. So as I look at the screen, see how close my vertical crosshair is going up and down to my design? I'm going to push it off a little bit more to the left, making sure that there is no design that's going to cross that line. Okay, now I'm in the area tab still, and I'm going to hit 2 corner. Pretend that you heard a ding. I turned the dinger off on my machine here at home. Now I'm going to come all the way across to the other side. I'm at the other side and I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm right at the very bottom of my throat space. So when I hit 2 corner, it's pretty much doing a straight line, and it's not encompassing this part of the design down here below the line. So I'm going to come over to my sidebar and I'm going to manually change the height, and I'm just going to put in some random number that I think will be bigger. So I put in 10. So now if we look at the screen, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. Everything that was below the bottom of my quilt top is now inside this pink area box. And I'm going to try to get rid of that design by going up here to my Modify tab. In the ribbon, I'm going to click on Crop. And then on the right-hand sidebar, I'm going to click Inside because I want to get rid of everything inside that pink area box. Now I've got all those starts and stops that popped up. See all those little green and red dots? I don't want the machine to do tie-offs everywhere, so I'm going to hit my edges button over here on the right, and that will tell the machine to stitch in between those, so I don't have to deal with all of the tie-offs, which are a pain in the rear end. Okay, now that I've got that done, I'm going to baseline. Perfect. So my design is how I want it, but there's one more step that I need to make sure I do. If I look back up at the screen, I'm going to refresh so we can see the whole thing. See where my start point is? It's up on the first row. So if I go to Pro Stitch or Quilt and run, it's going to go back up there, meaning it's going to hit my pole because it's already stitched that and it's wrapped up in the back take-up bar. So I need to do part 2 of cropping. So part 1 is cropping the design. Part 2 is creating a new start point. To do that, I'm going to go up here to the Pro Stitcher tab. In the ribbon, New Start and End. And then I'm going to come over here to the right-hand sidebar. And in the Start column, I have the Auto button, I've got the arrows, scrolls, but I'm going to come down here to the bottom where it says Jumps. And as I click that Jump button, watch where the little green bullseye goes. It goes from start point to start point. And I'm going to jump it all the way down to my last row that I need to stitch. Okay, now some people get a little bit anxious when they see the little start point. Sometimes it comes in here rather than being right on the edge like the previous row. That is normal. That is just where the design is because you cropped off the original start. Okay, so I've got my start point in position. I'm going to do my Pro Stitcher tab, Quilt, and then I'll hit my Run button and we'll be off and stitching. Pro Stitcher, Quilt, Run, Proceed. You bring up that bobbin thread and resume. Remember how when I was setting up the area, I told you to go all the way off to the left and then off to the right? Well, let's zoom in here really close and I'm going to show you why. See how I didn't go all the way off to the right and I have this little tiny section here? Well, guess who hit their pole? Yep, that's me. So that just shows you why it is so important to make sure you go far off to the right and far off to the left when you create that area. That's how I crop at the bottom of an edge to edge. It's also how I remove the pins from the leader and baste the bottom of the quilt. And it's how you get a new start point. So you got 3 things today. Lucky you. So thank you for joining me today for the Did You Know Quilting Show. And I hope you have a great week quilting.